Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive Safe Dave here, along with Double Check Dale. Hey, Dale, I want to know, do you do this? Do you got this thing going with the double check? Have you seen that?
I've not seen that. Dave, explain.
Well, I'm just saying, they do the double check thing, and it used to have this little thing they used to do right here. It was double check. I don't know. It was I think it was Aaron Rodgers that used to do it. Did you see that, or am I mistaken?
You're not mistaken. Somebody else has actually brought that up, but no, I don't do that.
You don't do the double check deal. Okay, I just maybe you're double checking that seat belt.
Yep.
Making sure it's on. You know what I'm saying? Making sure that safety seat belt's on.
Yeah, that's right. Or when we're backing up, get out and double check, make sure we're doing that right?
We are doing that. All right, so a couple of things. I watched the news yesterday, and I just want to lead off our news segment with what was inundated. Everything yesterday was COVID. I mean, it didn't matter. I watched the national news, and 15 minutes of the national news, they were talking about COVID. So I think it's relevant that we continue to mention it. I think it's relevant that we continue to talk about it and warn everybody about it. They believe that yesterday was the second highest day ever recorded with the number of cases, and they believe that today will surpass that, and they think it will be the highest day of recorded number of cases ever. I mean, in the United States, since this whole thing began, that's how fast this variant is spreading, and it's how fast. There were lines. They showed yesterday lines all over the country for testing sites, people trying to get tested, trying to find out if they have COVID, and it's wreaking havoc across the United States in many ways. I will tell you, it's hit our travel industry immensely. 1,000 planes were canceled. 1,000 flights were canceled yesterday. Another surge of flights being canceled yesterday across the country. And this is going to continue to go on. I think, until we get a good hold on this thing and we get past this holiday season where people gather, I think we're going to be in for a little bit of a ride.
Absolutely. Hey, Dave, where are they at on? They were talking about mailing out home test kits. Do you know where they're at on that right now?
Yeah, I do know that from what I understand, they were going to send out home test kits to everybody for free. I don't know that the supply is there yet. I saw that the president made that promise, so I'm pretty sure that they're going to try to do something in that regard to get everybody. I do know they were handing them out in New York for free. I do know that they were on the street handing out test kits at the testing sites so people could go ahead and go home and get their testing done. But I'll tell you that this is really starting to make a difference in what we do and how we treat our lives. Again, a lot of schools yesterday announced they are not opening back up. They're going to do at-home learning. And then some of the schools said they're absolutely going to open. New York City is going to open on Monday with kids in school. They believe that it's safer for them because almost all the teachers have been vaccinated. I think all of them, I think by law they had to or they can't be working. So I think every teacher is vaccinated. And I think a lot of the students are vaccinated in New York. I think New York's probably one of the highest, not only is it the highest rate of Omicron going on, but it's also one of the highest vaccination rates as well.
And listening to what the doctors saying in the hospitals are saying, people that have been vaccinated and have the booster shots that are still getting, the COVID, the symptoms aren't near as bad. And so, that just goes to show, get vaccinated, get that booster shot, and, you still may get it, but the symptoms aren't near as severe as if you are unvaccinated. So,
yeah, you're not free from getting the COVID. You're not absolutely free from anybody. Anybody can get it, whether you're vaccinated or non-vaccinated. Anybody can get this disease. Anybody can catch this again. The severity by which you catch it can be measured, like you said, with a COVID vaccination. Also, a lot of the people that got COVID once already are getting it again. Everybody that got it and thought that they were protected because they got it, I've had COVID, so all my natural antibodies are there. Well, you're catching it again and you're getting sick again. So what we don't want is we don't want you to get sick. We want you to be protected. We want you to go out and do what you have to do to be safe. Look, Do the things that you know are successful. Do the things that you've done, tried and true, up to this point, right? I mean, we in the trucking industry have done a fantastic job of making sure of being isolated, staying within your bubble, doing what you have to do, avoiding contact with other people, and making sure that you continue to do what's necessary out there on the road, washing your hands, wearing your mask, putting on gloves, doing that. This virus is very, very contagious. It's easy to get, and there are so many ways to catch it: by touching something, by breathing in just in the same air that somebody else does in bad ventilation. So I would suggest to you, if you can, get into the truck stop and get out of the truck stop. Don't linger, don't hang out. I know you'll want to get out of the tractor, and I know you want to stay away from, that 8x12 cell that you have there a lot. But I'm just telling you, find a way to stay away from people. If you can, it's beautiful. It's been beautiful outside this week here in the South. I know that record highs were across the country, and there were record highs also up in Alaska. I think even Alaska had a record high yesterday, set a record high. So it's out there. We have a lingering fall, and it's continued to make everything else a little bit nicer. I just know that when winter comes, it's going to come in like a bear.
Yeah, and they'll probably hang around for a while.
Yeah. Did you have what you got, producer?
Well,
What's up, Jack?
It's supposed to get down to 32. I'm going down to Austin this weekend. It's supposed to get down to 32 degrees.
Yeah, I think
that
on
Sunday it'll be like 7. It's going to be, I think, 60, 70 degrees, and then that night it's going to get cold.
The bottom falls out.
Bottom will fall out, and I'm going to break the news to you. It's going to warm right back up. I think it's a quick cold snap that brings in a little bit, drops a little moisture out of the air, and then turn around and So I'm going to do something to protect my plants on Saturday. You know what I mean? Some of those plants that I have, look, we bought plants, okay? Remember we had that big freeze last year and it killed all the shrubs and everything?
Yeah, it's going to kill them again.
Yeah, my wife has said, I want you out there protecting those plants. So I'm going to find a way to go protect the plants. By the way, they're not cheap.
No.
Does anybody, how much do you think just a very small, how much do you think a very tiny palm tree is?
I'm going to go with like $1,000.
It's not. They are not cheapos.
I should get into growing plants.
Huh?
I should get into growing palm trees. After the freeze, I was like, oh, that's easy. You just live out in the country, you just grow a bunch of plants.
Yeah, and then sell them to people that lose them and kill them.
Those freeze off that don't go out there and protect them.
Hey, so we had some interesting information yesterday come out. One of the things was that OIDA president was asked to join the president's task force on the trucking industry and its change. And the only reason I bring it up is that it was very interesting for us because he said in his statement, he stated his focus is on keeping drivers behind the wheel, not necessarily just bringing people in, but finding better ways to keep them behind the wheel. And he said his main concern was it's very important to get paid for detention and to find ways that drivers can get paid for detention. And you know what? The only reason I bring that up, that hasn't been resolved. I think that is something that needs to be addressed. I do believe drivers need to be paid for their detention. I do believe their time is valuable. Yep. And to do so, I think it's very important that whoever, I don't care, if anybody will listen, I'm good. If anybody will find a way to listen about what he's saying, because we've been touting this for years, right? Yeah. I don't think it's never stopped.
It's never stopped. I mean, they just got to stop using our trucks as warehouses, as mobile warehouses. I mean, you pay for warehouse space, you should have to pay for truck space, and that's, years and years. And so
I don't care if it takes a little while to get unloaded if you're going to pay for it, right? I mean, but to sit there and say, hey, Jack, if I told you, hey, every day you come to work, your first 2 hours are free for me. That's what you tell a truck driver every day he's out there on the road. The first 2 hours are free.
I think it'll become more recognized once they do more of the autonomous trucks and try to incorporate that into the long haul, maybe. these companies are going to realize, wait, hold on, why do we have a truck sitting for 3 hours as more people come into the logistics game, with the Waymo and things like that, because they're already trying to speed up or automate the process, and then they realize that 2 or 3 hours are just there sitting, waiting to get loaded.
So the dude screaming in the truck this whole time for years is of no value whatsoever. Him screaming, "Hey, I've been out here waiting for years." So now you have an automated computer in there. It doesn't scream at all.
Text
it doesn't even. Oh, now it's important to pay the driver.
No, I think it's going to bring more awareness.
I think
because they give the media gives a lot of attention to autonomous trucks and vehicles, right? And these same people are now going to be being. I would say they're probably going to be listened to more, the companies, because it's such a hot topic that people are going to be talking about, and I think you could see that.
I truly believe the only way to truly fix this, and believe me, and I know it's hard to say, but I truly believe the only genuine way to fix this, and I'm glad the president and all this, but is if the industry finds a way to not take care of the customers that don't take care of the drivers. If we truly figure out a method that, you know what, I truly want I want a trucking company. I want to pull freight for companies that take care of my drivers, and I think it'll get there. If this strain on the trucking industry, we have an opportunity to choose freight now instead of being forced to take whatever's there and available. We have an opportunity to go out there and choose freight, and I think it's important that I want them to listen. It's not that I don't want to pull people's freight. And I think that's what every truck driver wants, to pull the freight that's out there. But they want to be heard, and they want to be listened to, and they definitely want to be taken care of when they're not pulling it because they're waiting for their turn in line, right? And I'm okay with their turn in line. I get that, as long as they're compensated for that in the industry. And ultimately, the trucking, the end user has to pay for that. The guy that pulls that, you ship my freight and I get there and you hold me up, you're responsible, not the trucking company, not the driver, not anybody else, but the person that actually says, "Hey, get in line, we'll get to you in a few hours." That right there, if that hits the bean counters in there and says, "Hey, whoa, why are we paying for all this?" Then changes will be made in the industry, and they'll put more workers on the docks. They'll do whatever they can to eliminate some of these costs that would be associated, and I think it would create a better, as long as you don't have to fix it, it ain't broken, right? I mean, Jack, if if it's not costing you anything, why fix it? It's
why
not
mess with it.
It's not broken.
Hey, a couple things here. One, Donna was mentioning that it's extremely foggy out by New Braunfels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's not supposed to lift till 10 a.m. And then Alan Arnold had his hand raised, so I'm going to go ahead and unmute him.
What's up, Alan? Oh, no, I understand exactly. We've all been there and done that, and I get what you're saying. But to me, I really think that with the advent of ELDs, it's evident to see that if we can promote safety and to show that late is late. I get it. You don't want to be late, and I understand the evils that befall. But when you place priority about being on time and late above safety, then therein lies a problem out there on the road. I think to offset that, it needs to change. I think what we're talking about here is working with shippers and receivers to understand that truly just because you say 10 a.m., there's things that happen. When they show up to work 5 minutes late, they're not charged $250. They're not charged $500 before they punch in. I think what really needs to happen here is an understanding between both throughout the whole system-wide deal. And I get what you're saying, Alan. I understand that we've all been there. We've all gotten stuck to not be delivered. But you know what? That's what I'm talking about when I mention shippers and receivers that are driver friendly and shippers and receivers that are not driver friendly. And to be able to identify those and to address those directly, I think that needs to be done, across the board. And you know what? I truly want. I'm not afraid to walk into a customer's anymore and say, look, you're not driver friendly. You're not driver friendly, so your rates are higher. And you know what? I'm going to continue to charge you more until you figure it out. And if you're going to cost me money on the end, then I'm going to find a way to run your freight higher. And I truly believe there's an opportunity here for us to work together to find a way. But I think it's going to have to be the bottom line. Don't you believe it, Jack? It's going to have to be the bottom line.
I do. And how is UPS shipping for UPS? Are they kind of a pain or?
Well, I mean, UPS
in terms of detention and having to have drivers wait around or.
Well, the great thing about that LTL freight in UPS is most of those packages are on a set schedule. And I'll just be honest with you. So you've got a phone. I don't know if you've ever tracked a package, Jack, but there's 10,000 packages in there. There's 10,000 people tracking what's in that box. And when it's running late, they're getting 10,000 phone calls. So it's a little bit different than truckload freight, which is there's only one guy looking for his 26 pallets. But when there's 10,000 people looking for their one package to hit the porch, it makes a difference. And I think UPS is not really the same animal. They do pay detention and stuff like that, but I digress. I never wanted to call one particular person out. They do happen to be the largest carrier in the United States, so it's probably not.
Well, yeah, I mean, what you just said, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I mean, when you have 10,000 people calling about their package, there's a lot more attention than, like you said, that one driver. And so, what you're saying is band together. We have to figure out a way to get, some sort of, communication between all the carriers and work together so we're all heard at once. And then, like you said, those bad shippers and receivers know they're on notice and your freight's going to go up. You're going to pay.
I truly believe that.
I
think that, yeah.
We got Gerald Baker on the line.
Hey, what's up, Gerald?
You're unmuted.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can. How are you feeling? What's going on with you this morning?
Well, I'm still in the hospital. It's going to be here another 2 days. They did a triple bypass. But I just wanted to call and let everybody know that I'm prayers. And we're not out of the woods yet.
Yeah, I know. And hey, Gerald, I spoke to you this weekend, and your lovely wife, man. We're all praying for you. We're all glad that where you are and what's going on with you, and that you are in recovery, because the other side of it was not a good side. And we're very excited about all of the positive news that's coming out from you and your family about what's happening with you right now. So we wish the very best of you, and I'm glad you called. So good morning to you, and a happy New Year to you, Gerald.
Yeah, thanks for the update.
Thank you, and I'll get back to work as quick as I can. But it's going to be a long process.
I understand. Let's take it. Do what you have to do. There's no rush. I guarantee you there'll be freight to move when you get back to work. I promise you, it is in no rush. We will get to you when you get back and when you are fully 100% able to do so. So protect yourself, do what you have to do, and a quick recovery to you. We love you.
Thank you, man.
All right, you bet.
Thank you, everybody, for your prayers.
Absolutely, Gerald. Yeah, he had suffered a heart attack over the weekend and had a triple bypass on Sunday. And already up, I think the very next day they had him up, sitting in a chair, eating soup. And I talked to him, and he was in good spirits then as well. So, You did say it was a little bit difficult to breathe deeply. He said, yeah, I imagine so.
Cause a little discomfort, huh?
A little bit discomfort going on there. Hey, I'll tell you what, we'll be right back in just a couple of minutes and talk a little bit more news and safety. Hey, and we are back here. There was some sad news yesterday. I want to report John Madden passed away at 85. There's so many things here about John Madden. And he led the Raiders to a Super Bowl.
Yes.
He also has one of the highest percentage of winning percentages in all coaches, above 100 games in the NFL. Or actually, he has the highest, I think. And he also was a great partner and over the years in the broadcast booth, giving John Madden color and commentary, made everything very simple. I mean, he would call, and you know what, a guy that understood the complexity of the game, but truly understood how simple it could be. Look, block that dude. Right?
He's got a booger on his shirt sleeve. He's
I like that. Some of my favorite things when the guy would have like grass turf in his helmet and it would be like all bruised up or cut. John Madden would be like, now that's football. That's right there. That's football. And a couple of things I don't think anybody ever knew. John Madden never flew. John Madden didn't fly at all. He drove around the country in a bus to all those games all over the United States. So he had to travel a great deal. He actually has a lot of miles under him riding in that bus, tour bus, around the country. Now, there's other people that he worked with in the booth. They all flew.
They were there early.
Or they would just get there later. But he basically had a tour bus.
Yeah.
So he lived in New York. I'll tell you a personal story. He lived in New York. My aunt, after she got sold the nightclub, she owned a restaurant in New York City called the Yellow Rose Cafe, and they served Texas food. She was on the top 10 net restaurants in New York for a long time and did very well. And a lot of famous people went in there, and one of the guys that used to come in there a lot who loved the chicken fried steak, mashed potatoes, and gravy in New York City was John Madden, and he would always get 2 plates. Now, I don't know, have any of y'all ever met John Madden? Has anybody ever met John Madden or seen him in person? Let me tell you, the first time I met him, I shook his hand. I felt like I was putting my hand in Mickey Mouse's hand because it was just so big. I mean, his hand just swallows your hand. He's just a monster of a guy. I mean, this dude is bigger than life. He talks bigger than life. He laughs bigger than life. And I talked to him for about 2 minutes because he was sitting and my aunt introduced him. He was actually friends with my aunt, and I enjoyed. He was an idol of mine. I saw him on TV every Sunday, so it was a lot of fun. And he truly did drink Miller Lite, and he truly did eat a lot of food and was bigger than life. He was a pretty cool guy personally, but we all know, and Jack, you probably know him best from Madden football, right? The video games, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you never
it was
actually.
hard to not recognize it based off the name. You're like, why is it called Madden? Why is it just called NFL football, right? You know, and yeah, so there's a whole generation that grew up, I guess, people like me playing Madden football, right?
And I think most of us have at some point or another. I mean, he basically reinvented. I mean, he was the face of that franchise for years. Yeah. And we're not talking about 5 years or 10 years. We're talking about Madden football. I would be challenged. I would like for you to look that up. I bet it's 30 years of Madden football.
It's older than me, the series is.
I know. I'm saying that's been around since, I want to say that's been around since the late 80s. I sure would like to find out. I'm going to say that's been around a long time, Madden football. And people make fun of video games. And the reason I think that's crazy is that video games.
1988.
I was off by 1 year.
Yeah.
I was off by one. But that's a long franchise to have. I don't know very many video games that have the success that long, genuinely, with the name that's stuck. And continues to, and people wait for it to come out every year, right? I mean, it's not like
it's relevant.
Yeah, it's not like next year when Madden football comes out, nobody's going to buy it, right? Because it'll get swallowed up.
And there's the curse, right? If you're on the cover of Madden football, whoever is on the cover generally has a bad year.
Oh yeah. That's what they say, but because you get all the notoriety, right? You get all the notoriety, and then you don't live up to that.
You're bigger than life all of a sudden when you play life size.
Speaking of video games, Tesla has just announced that they're no longer going to allow their video game to the in-car. What's it called? It's called it's called passenger play, and they're no longer going to allow passenger play to be played on the screen while driving, because there's no way to stop the person driving from playing the game. And I don't know if y'all have seen the Tesla, inside the Teslas. That screen is like is huge. And a friend of mine owned a Tesla, and that thing is, I sat in the car, I was like, wow, the numbers are like this big on the screen. And I'm like, now that is for old people.
Easy there.
And it's mesmerizing at first to see that big of a screen, and then it just becomes into play. But can you imagine playing a video game while driving down that? Not a good deal.
Not a safe idea.
Not a safe idea, right?
Yeah. So.
I don't recommend it. So now they will no longer allow that to be played while the vehicle's in motion. And Jack was telling me, here you go, ahead, talk to me.
Yeah, so in Japan, people have TVs in their car. So in the front, on the dashboard, they have a TV. It's about the size of an iPad, 8 or 10 inches. And so they'll be watching TV while they're in traffic, usually be on the passenger side, but it'll be, tilted towards the driver's side of the vehicle. And they'll just do that at every car. Like, I was in rush hour in the passenger side, and I looked over, and every single car had live TV going on.
Yeah, when I was in Japan, I was just in there 2 years ago, and I don't remember. I do remember now. I was in a lot of cabs, and they had a lot of advertisements going on, and I didn't understand a lot was happening. But you know what? I could have missed that part of it. But I do remember that in the Anyway, in Japan, that's a whole different story. We'll get to that. But they're no longer going to allow the video games to be played while driving.
Yeah, that's after NHTSA opened up an investigation. So, I mean, just because they turned it off doesn't mean the investigation's over with the federal government.
Right, I get that. Yeah, and investigating into possible crashes that help.
Yeah, and then that with the whole autopilot, the name implying that it's self-drive. They have a lot of investigations opening up. And it's funny, too. You'll notice every time that an investigation opens up, Elon will just tweet something completely the opposite to kind of bury the story. It's actually pretty smart. A lot of companies, I don't know if they know that, but if something bad happens, just announce something radical and new. and it'll take the attention away on the search engines.
Isn't that why Facebook and Twitter changed their name, right? Because they were getting a lot of bad press.
Facebook, they changed it to Meta, so now all the articles that said Facebook are irrelevant.
Right, because now they've gone to Meta. Yeah, so they've done.
A good example I like to use is, if something, I think a few years ago Taco Bell had, I know this is kind of irrelevant, someone was licking all the tacos, right? And a video went viral. And like the best thing you would do is, in that situation, is just take something off the menu that's a favorite, and everyone will forget about it because they'll be so upset that you took off the Doritos Locos Tacos.
What is that? The nacho cheese tacos, the reason they were getting licked.
Yeah.
But
Face TV.
But that's some basic marketing there. Right?
I know, I like that. And so now Jack has figured out a way to get the bad press off of us when we get the bad press, and I like that when he does it. All right, let's go ahead and do the phrase that pays, and we will move on. Let's see. You ready for the phrase that pays?
Ready. Hit it.
All right. This new year, take action to make the road safer for everyone. This new year, take action to make the road safer for everyone. Write that down. It doesn't have the jingle that we normally have, and I'm going to ask everybody out there over the next couple of days, go ahead and send in some new submissions that actually have a little bit of rhyme to them for going into the new year. We want to go into the new year with a bunch of new phrase that pays, so kick us out some phrase that pays so that we can use, right?
Yeah, and then maybe we can sing them too, because I really enjoyed that when you were singing.
Don't make the sing-along ones. All we need is the bouncing ball going forward after that. All right, and what we'll do, we will come right back and double-check Dale. We'll let you know about weather and traffic.
Rick Larkin here, host of BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. If you don't already know about Freight and Review, it's a segment I cover once a week where I analyze freight rejections, freight tenders, driver productivity, and much, much more. You can watch Freight and Review on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. So what you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now at 21% of record freight being rejected. News down in Texas. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We had another $1.5 million seizure. If ever there's a time to do a pre or post trip, it's if you're doing something wrong. Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob. You can kind of see where the visibility can be compromised a little bit. Again, right where that rain is.
And most importantly, safety.
One of the things that we must do is make sure that safety is the number one thing that we focus on.
Going into...
Hey, welcome back to the Safety Show this morning, Wednesday morning. You got Double Check Dale here. Let's take a look at some traffic around the country, see what's going on. I'm going to start here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. If you're over on the Fort Worth side, things look really good this morning. Even the downtown area, very little congestion or traffic backups there. Get over to the Dallas side, Mid-Cities areas, looks really good this morning. No slowdowns, troubles, issues there. Once you get to the Dallas side, if you're up in the Farmers Branch area, SRT and 635 merge, come together, you're going to see some backups and some congestion there. Downtown area of Dallas sees a little bit of congestion, heavy traffic, but nothing major going on. 75 up in the Richardson area, the southbound lane, looks like you may have some slowdowns there, but not a lot of heavy traffic anywhere in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Going south out of town on 45, 35E, 35 West, all really good. I did get a driver call in a little bit ago to tell me that I-35 northbound up in Oklahoma, exit 24, you have to get off because there was a truck fire up there. So if you're up in that area of Oklahoma on I-35, be aware of that you may want to take an exit. Some heavy traffic and backups there. Going to the next place, we're going to Houston, and Houston looks really good on all the outer perimeters. The only heavy traffic that I'm seeing in Houston is 45 once it gets inside the outer loop, right close to the inner loop, the 610 loop. That is going to be your trouble spot there. Some major backups and slowdowns on the southbound lane coming into town. other than that, traffic looks pretty light in Houston. We don't see any major tie-ups other than, like I said, getting close to that downtown area. Kansas City, just nothing to talk about there. It's green everywhere you look, so if you're in Kansas City this morning, enjoy the ride. You got great traffic up there. Going out to Chicago, it's that holiday week, and we can definitely tell that by the morning rush hour because there is not much traffic going on in Chicago. All the major routes coming into the city from the west, 90, 88, 80, all look really good this morning. 55 looks very good this morning. Get over onto the Indiana side, 80 and 90 look good. Once you get inside the 294 loop in Chicago, you're going to see a little bit of traffic on 90 as you get closer to the downtown area. But even that doesn't look bad for Chicago. So, really it looks like pretty light traffic out there this morning also. Going into Atlanta, that holiday week and traffic in the rush hour out in Atlanta is very light this morning. We always talk about that 285 loop. There's no backups on it this morning according to what we're looking at right now. So you have some really wide open traffic in Atlanta. Just practice your speed and space. Keep that space in front of you, monitor your speed, keep that down, and keep traffic moving out there because right now in Atlanta it looks like it's really moving well. Philadelphia, same story. Doesn't look like we have any major tie-ups coming into it. Just a lot of little areas where you may see a slowdown and have to watch what's going on. Maybe a little stop and go. But no major areas where we're seeing big tie-ups or where you're going to see a big delay in the Philadelphia area. So Philadelphia looks really good this morning. Even Nashville. Nashville looks like Kansas City. There just don't look like there's any major trouble spots on any of the major interstates. Again, some of the smaller side roads, have some traffic issues, but the major interstates in and around coming into and going out of Nashville look really good this morning. Washington, D.C. and Baltimore, same story there. Just not much traffic going on. The areas that we always talk about, Silver Spring up in Washington, D.C., no traffic going on, no heavy traffic going on there. The roads between D.C. and Baltimore look really good this morning. No tie-ups, major traffic slowdowns there. And then once you get up to Baltimore, we always talk about towns at the north side of that loop. 695 would be in a trouble area. Not this morning, just no reds or oranges on the map in the DC-Baltimore area. So enjoy your commute out there. And then getting into Indianapolis. All roads coming in and all roads going out of Indianapolis look really good this morning. The loop all the way around town is clear. Just, probably pretty light traffic out there due to the week, holiday week. And so if you're in the Indianapolis area, you should have some really good traveling, not too much of the heavy traffic. Just remember the speed and space. And with that, we are going to go into some weather. And let's start with the wind this morning. And there's not a whole lot of winds to talk about. We do have a couple areas, major areas. The front range of the Rockies in New Mexico, we're seeing some high winds going along there. They're going into southern Colorado, some winds, and then once you get up into Wyoming, that Elk Mountain area, the wind-prone areas there, still seeing some high winds there at the moment. As we move into a little bit into later into the day, the winds do pick up a little bit in that area we were talking about out in New Mexico going into Colorado, and they're starting to stretch up the front range of the Rockies into Colorado all the way up into Wyoming. So if you're in any of those three states, Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico today, there are going to be some high winds, so be aware of that. If you're loaded light, make sure you're slowed down. If you're empty, there's nothing, I didn't see anything. Let's take a look for a few gusts, see if we have anything major. Some 39-mile-an-hour gusts. So we have to be aware of that. Make sure that, like I said, if you're loaded light, that you're slowing down. That's where your winds. You're starting to see a little bit of wind this afternoon coming into the panhandle of Oklahoma, Texas, and that'll stretch up into Kansas. A little bit of winds down along the Gulf Coast going into southern Louisiana and Mississippi. But other than that, this afternoon the winds look pretty decent. And then going into tomorrow night or tomorrow morning, again, it's that same stretch through New Mexico and Colorado where we're seeing the winds. Wyoming will still see some winds up there in that, Elk Mountain area going across 80 outside of, I believe it's Cheyenne and the Laramie area. So be aware of that. Be aware of that. If we go east, we're not seeing anything major on the wind-wise. So with that, let's take a look and see what's going on with precip. And I will tell you that I saw that they have I-80 on Donner Pass open both directions for passenger vehicles and essential commercial motor vehicles. But as we look at the precipitation out there, they are still getting snow. They've had over 17 feet of snow in Donner Pass right now. And so lots and lots of snow up there. And if we go out west, that's where the snow is. Northern California, most of Oregon, Idaho, northwestern Nevada is picking up snow right now. A lot of it, the heavier snow being the higher elevations. The same can be said about Colorado and New Mexico. It's the Rockies that are picking up the snow right now. The heavier amounts are, in the higher elevations. A little bit of a band of snow stretching from southern Utah up to northern, up to just south of Salt Lake City. So there is a little bit of snow going on out there. Other areas of precipitation going on right now is northern Louisiana through Mississippi up into Tennessee. We're seeing some thunderstorms and some showers with some potentially heavy thunderstorms and lightning and tornadoes going on in northern Louisiana up around Jackson, right across from Jackson, Mississippi. Another band of storms in central Alabama going into Georgia. So, you're going to see some rain and precipitation there. The Dallas-Fort Worth area, expecting maybe a little bit light showers throughout the day. And let's kick that into, midday. And the snow starts to shift a little bit inward out on the west coast, but, Donner Pass, I-80, Reno area still getting snow, northern Nevada still getting snow. Those showers that we're talking about in Louisiana and Mississippi have intensified and have spread out. So now this afternoon you're going to see showers or chance of showers through most of Arkansas, most of northern Mississippi, northern Louisiana, over into Tennessee. And then there's another band of showers that come up through the Florida Panhandle into Georgia and into South Carolina. The only ones that look severe are the ones, excuse me, the only ones that look severe are the ones that are on the Tennessee-Alabama border. And by this evening, the showers continue out east, and they just move a little bit east. So we got Tennessee and Alabama, West Virginia. Virginia is going to see some precipitation overnight. And so with the temperatures dropping, make sure chances of fog are out there also, so be aware of that. Also in the overnight hours, northern Illinois, the Chicago area may see some snow. Tomorrow morning or tomorrow, by tomorrow, Los Angeles is expecting some heavy rains tomorrow with some localized flash flooding. So if you're in the Southern California area, some chances of rain there. Snow in southern Nevada tomorrow up through Salt Lake, up through Utah, up in the Salt Lake. And then snow in Colorado, New Mexico, and the higher elevations. And we still have some rain kicking around out east in the Gulf Coast area, southern Mississippi, most Alabama, up through Atlanta, expecting some rain tomorrow morning. So, we got a lot going on with rain and precipitation. And so just want to be aware of that. If you're in an area of snow, I know Iowa's expecting some snow a little bit later today, and there may be some winds that go with that. So, tune into 511.org for the state. Great information there, tell you what the road and the weather conditions are. Just stay tuned and aware of the, situational awareness. Be aware of the weather around you, and take actions. Like I said, if you're in adverse conditions, make sure we slow down. Make sure we have the speed correct for the road conditions and the weather conditions. And so with that, we'll take a short break and come back with some safety.
Hi, this is David Dover, also known as Drive Safe Dave. You are watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Safety is what you want to talk about, and safety is what you want to be every single day. That's what we're here for. We're here to make it better.
The industry needs BCB Live so that it can find new and inventive ways to bring safety to the forefront for every single person out there on the road.
You got to be prepared to stop. And when you look at that and you understand the situation that you're in, you got to know that it's going to change. You got to expect it to change, and you can't run those lights.
You can watch BCB Live weekdays, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So what are you waiting for? Follow and subscribe to BCB Live today.
All right, and welcome back to BCB Live. Right after the weather and traffic, doesn't look like there's a lot of traffic going on just yet, right? Still a little.
Not in the mornings. Afternoons usually pick up, but in the mornings, it's been really a light week for traffic.
Well, that's good news. That makes it a lot easier for everybody out there on the road, right? Not having to be stressed out, pressured, and but I think it will soon return to normal by next week, right? It'll be everybody will be ready.
I think Monday will be a whole different story than today.
As we get ready for next week. Okay, so what were we talking about? I know we were talking about inspections. So where are we at?
Yeah, you're right. We're talking about inspections. Then we're going to talk a little bit about roadside inspection. You know, and one of the things I always emphasize, or you want to think about, is if you do that good pre-trip or that good post-trip and find defects and get them fixed, when you get pulled over for a roadside inspection, you know, they go pretty smoothly. You know, don't give them a reason to pull you over. You know, the three major levels of roadside inspections are the driver only, which is where they pull you over and they look at your credentials, your driver's license, your med card, your permits, make sure that's right, and your logs will look at that. Then the level 2, which is the most common one, the one we see the most often, that's also the same as a driver only, except they do a walk around, check the vehicle check your vehicle out, with the exception of crawling underneath it. And then the level 1, the dreaded level 1, that's when they get the skateboard out and they take brake measurements and all that stuff. And so those are your three major levels of inspections. Like I said, if you do the good pre-trip and post-trip, take good care of your equipment, when you get pulled over for those inspections, they go really smooth, they go really fast. If you turn in a clean inspection, we pay you money for it.
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you, as we talk about level 1s and inspections, you know, they're part of the business.
Yep.
Anticipate at some point you're going to get one. Don't run around thinking you're not ever going to get one. It is part of the business. Everybody that's been doing it a while, it's just what transpires out there on the road. But genuinely being prepared, just like anything else that you do out there, is all about preparation and making sure that not only when you do the inspections and you get the roadside inspections, there's a couple of things that you want to keep in mind. Number one, your attitude says a lot about what's going to happen in the roadside inspections. Being professional, being courteous, being kind, and understanding that the person doing the roadside inspection, they're doing something very valuable to you and me out there each and every day, and that is to making sure that the vehicles out there are safe to be out there, right? We don't want a bunch of unsafe trucks out there running around where our family's on the road. So they're providing an invaluable service. I know it sucks to get sometimes a level 1 right when you're in a hurry, or when you're just running your clock and you're figuring it all out. But I'm telling you, when you are going to get one, so don't be surprised when you do get one. Make sure you're ready. Make sure you're prepared, and make sure you understand how important it is when you do get one. Also, few people forget, Seatbelt. Make sure. Yeah. But I will tell you, also, when you talk about inspections, that is an on-duty thing that you perform. Make sure your log reflects the on-duty while you're on duty, not driving while you're getting an inspection. That is not an off-duty event. That is an on-duty event, and it needs to be flagged as an inspection if you get one. So.
And that's a great point, because, you know, when companies get audited, that's usually the driver that's had a roadside inspection, particularly one with deficiencies found. That's one of the first places the auditors go to check to make sure that
that's an easy one.
That driver logged on duty.
That's an easy one, and it's an easy one, but it's easily forgotten, right? Because you're off duty. When you get out of the truck, you park. You're already on duty, but you just need a flag that you've had an inspection at that time, and just say, you know, DOT inspection. Yeah. Mark it down as one. There is a deal that says that you can do that, and it's important that you do that so that they know that you're ready. Also, I say it over and over again, you know, the most important thing is genuinely your attitude. How you treat the officer or how you treat the roadside inspector is important.
Yeah, and from time to time you're going to get one with a bad attitude, but you know, like, they're human. You know, sometimes they just have a bad day. They have something going on elsewhere, and they let that affect their attitude. But don't let their attitude affect yours, and get right back to
Absolutely. All right, what kind of videos we got going on?
Well, before we do that, Justin Hayes just wanted to point out not just your attitude, but having your paperwork in order, nice and neat, and not having all kinds of stuff all over the dash.
Yeah, that's always, hey, thanks, Justin. You know, it is always good. And I think we do a pretty good job But make sure that your logbook is prepared, right? That's what I was talking about. Genuinely be prepared. Make sure everything's in a good working order before you get in there.
I mean, it sounds like just common sense stuff, but we have a lot of new drivers and people entering into it and don't understand, what enforcement and people are looking for. So just great tip from Justin.
Absolutely. Appreciate the valued information in making sure we pass that along to everybody. All right, what kind of videos we got?
Take a look.
Wow. Great speeds, great spacing here
Yep.
between you and I can't even see what kind of car that is in my lane all the way up in the front.
And you nailed it. I mean, that's just what it is. It's about speed. It's about space. It's about patience. It's about knowing that we're all going to get there. Let's do it safely. Let's keep that space.
And you're going to get and run. And what I do like about this is that no matter what, if anybody pulls out in front of you, you're going to be able to stop. And you're not going any faster than anybody else. I mean, you're just keeping with the flow of the traffic. Great job here. And wow.
This next one we look at, it's about the speed in corners, and this one we don't see any signs in it, but there's a stability event, so that tells me we're probably going in this corner a little fast. The other thing is the road looks wet, or the surface may be a little bit wet, potentially a little bit slick, so we just have to make sure that we always have the speed right, because otherwise things like that happen.
Yeah, you think this is was this an event, or was this triggered by the driver showing us?
That's right. This one was. This was
triggered by the driver. This is something you don't see. That you see too frequently a rollover on the side on a curve, and definitely scary. What typically happens in those cases is drivers going a little bit too fast, and the road might be wet or something might be going on, and they panic, and the trailer starts driving for them, and you wind up.
Yeah, I mean, we see those little yellow signs that say, "Hey, speed limit 40." That's in optimum conditions. That's for a four-wheeler. That's not for That's not for an 18-wheeler. We need to be below that 5 to 10 below those suggested those yellow signs going in the curves, off on ramps, off ramps.
Yeah. Was there any other videos?
Yeah, there are. I just like to.
No, you're good. You're running the show.
Video on repeat.
You are the producer.
I'm adding a different style to it.
Whoa! I'll slow down here.
Here we got, this is just a case of impatience. Four-wheeler goes right across the double white, and then we follow suit. It's illegal. Those double white
just because he did it doesn't make it okay for you to do it.
That's right. Just a little bit of patience. Where we saw it earlier. We're all going to get there, and it's the safest way to do it. There's a reason they help manage traffic flow by putting those white lines in the lanes there. So
by the way, just so everybody knows, it's not follow the leader. And by the way, and if you want to be the leader, you got to do it the right way. And if you're the truck driver out there on the road, that's who needs to be leading, making sure that you're doing what needs to be done and not crossing that double white lines. Crossing those two solid white lines is illegal.
In some ways, I wish they would just put barriers instead.
Yeah, but now then people are hitting them.
And then they don't make the mistake.
Right, but then it becomes expensive, and we have, why can't we just follow the white lines? I mean, why can't we just follow the rules of the road?
Because they don't enforce anything anymore, it seems like.
Yeah, whoa. Okay.
No, for four-wheelers, it seems like.
Oh, they just have a hard time getting. There's just so many. I mean, they have a traffic division in a lot of places.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in, like, a critical way. Like, I've just seen, at least in Dallas, you see so much lack of following the rules of the road.
It's not just Dallas; it's prevalent everywhere. I'm going to break it to you.
Yeah, it's not a Texas thing.
It's not a Dallas thing. I'm going to go out there, and I can guarantee you that every driver on the air can testify this not doing what needs to be done out there on the road is prevalent across the country. So I think this is an education thing. I think this is an opportunity that we continue to share what's going on. If you didn't like them crossing the double white line, what makes it okay for you to do it, right?
That's right. Just because you're in a hurry or because, like you said, they're doing it, not the right thing. And so, like I said, it is. That's why I bought these videos, Dave, is an opportunity for us to look at them and to learn how do we get better? How do we set the pace for the rest of the industry?
All right.
This next one is of a U-Haul actually going, I think, 55 miles an hour.
Yeah, this is a little bit and not a little bit. This is tailgating. We're just too close. If we're at 60 miles an hour, 65. We could not count out a second in between that. So we just got to learn to back off, be patient, keep that speed and space. Even if that vehicle is going to turn off, with this turn signal on, still have to keep the space there. We cannot be following this close because if that vehicle doesn't have brake lights and stops suddenly, we're all over its back end. We're up into it. So.
And I'm going to say, and I'm just typically going to tell you that most of the time with these U-Hauls and these trailers that they're pulling, they aren't experienced drivers. You're not talking about somebody that knows what it means to pull a trailer with the minivan or whatever that is there, the SUV pulling that trailer. I'm not saying that it's unsafe. What I'm saying is their experience level is not there. I can assure you they don't do this all the time. This isn't their trailer. This is actually somebody else's trailer, U-Haul's trailer. So but I will tell you, you've got to give them the respect and the distance they need. This is an inexperienced. This is like coming up on one of those guys that is a new driver, the student driver, because I'm going to tell you this right here is a student driver when they're pulling those U-Hauls, because they aren't experienced, and that's what you get when you get a student driver.
So great videos this morning. Just some learning, some great patience, and I love seeing that.
You know, and we talk about that, and there was one video where the spacing was so incredible. I don't know, maybe that was 10 football fields on the first one, and then where that first one, how far is that? That's got to be 2 football fields. What do you say? Just 200? Was that 200 yards? You think to that next car?
It's a ways out.
Yeah, at least 100 at the very least.
Yeah, I think it's farther than that. I could almost throw 100 yards of football, 100 yards.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I could shoot 100 yards with my rifle.
Let's see. I want to see that. I want to see the race.
Yeah, no.
That's not very impressive. Only 100, but okay.
What?
Shooting 100 yards.
100 yards on a target, hitting the bullseye?
Like 500 is more.
Okay. Okay. This dude. Yeah, okay.
I can't, but I'm just saying.
That's very impressive. By the way, 500 yards on a target, that's actually very good. Hit the bullseye.
Don't know if I could see 500 yards.
And you know, I don't use a scope, by the way. You know that, right?
But there's like, the Marines have contests where they're hitting at like 600 yards.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
With irons.
And guess what? I know. And that's what they do all day long. They are actually very good. They're snipers.
I'm just saying it can be done.
Oh, yeah. I didn't say it couldn't be. I just said it's hard. I mean,
yeah, you or I probably.
It's not
it takes a little practice.
I mean, yeah. But I'll tell you, it's good stuff. You know, and as we watch the videos and we continue to look at the videos and we continue to share the videos, it's a learning experience, right? It's an opportunity to take a look and flash back and look at ourselves and give us the chance to make changes, give us the chance to do something different today that maybe we didn't see. If you can gain anything from these videos and you can continue to watch these videos and continue to understand how important they are in what we do. We're watching tape, guys. We're being the professionals. We're watching tape, and we're trying to find a better way to do it out there on the road each and every day. We're not calling anybody out. We're not making fun of anybody, but what we are doing is we're trying to let you see the simple things that need to be seen, right? You know, that need to be made aware out there. I'll tell you what, it's time for a quick prayer and get out of here. All right. Dear Heavenly Father, we gather before you today on this day to ask for your grace in all things. Father, help us to rejoice in the success of Gerald's recovery, and we hope and help us to offer up prayers that he continues in that recovery, in his healing from his surgery this week. Father, we also ask that you give us the ability to go out today and make a definite change in the way we do things, the way we see things, and the way we are seen. Father, it is important that we take from you that important lessons that make us the ability to bless somebody today in a special way. Father, we are your servants, and we are who you need us to be in that moment. Make us that what needs to be done. Father, we ask all these things in your name. We pray, amen. Hey, everybody, have a great and safe day. We will see you this afternoon at
2:30.
2:30.
Well, I have safety at 2:30.
Safety at 2:30. We'll see you then. Bye, everybody.